What's up, guys? So I'm continuing where I left off on like the things I got for my birthday. So let's not waste any more time. It's a nice, somewhat sunny day, I think. So let's just get started. So I got both of these Gamera movie Blu-ray box sets on my birthday as well. So I got the Showa era and the Heisei era. And let's take a look at the packaging. Obviously, if you put these two together, they make one complete Gamera along with the other monsters. So you got Showa Gamera and the Heisei Gamera. And then taking a look at the side of these things, it pretty much lists all the movies. So you got Gamera the Giant Monster, Gamera vs. Barugon, Gamera vs. Gauss, Gamera vs. Virus, Gamera vs. Guiron, Gamera vs. Jiger, Gamera vs. Zigra, and the Gamera vs. Not Gamera vs. Super Monster, Gamera Super Monster. And then for the Heisei era, you got Gamera Guardian of the Universe, Gamera 2 The Attack of Legion, Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris, and then Gamera the Brave. And then the top, Gamera the Showa era and Gamera the Heisei era. And then finally on the back, it pretty much just lists off the movies and the discs. Again. And then here's all the cases right here. And these allergies are really getting to me again, so yeah. But let's start off with the Showa era. And then here are all four of the cases for this one. Just knock that. I'm just gonna set that one aside right there, if it'll even stand up. But here we go. First, Gamera the Giant Monster. This one's a standalone disc, so there's no other movies on this one. So that's cool. Here's the disc. Then here's the cover art inside of it, which is, I assume, is the original movie poster. And then here's more stuff that it basically shows on like the back of the box again. And then, yeah, the disc itself. Neat. Set that off. Next, Gamera vs. Barugon, and then Gamera vs. Gauss. Just in case you wanted to see the back of this one and then the spine. It's pretty much like the same as the inside. So, I don't know. Just thought that might be important. But anyways, Gamera vs. Barugon and Gamera vs. Gauss. Pretty nice cover art. I like the art to these, actually. They look pretty cool. Here's the back. It's the inside. Here's the disc. Pretty cool. And then here are the original posters. They're basically like sliced in half so you can see like the poster for each movie, which I think is pretty cool. Oh, and by the way, these are these discs, I should say, are made by Arrowhead Video, so, and released by them, so yeah. So Gamera vs. Barugon, Gamera vs. Gauss. Moving on, Gamera vs. Virus, Gamera vs. Guiron. Here's the front. Nice cover art. Title. The back. And then finally the inside. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, this thing's upside down. Here we go. Here's the disc. And then the inside cover art. The original posters. Again, sliced in half. So, cool. I don't have any complaints about them like slicing the posters in half because I actually think it's pretty cool. And finally, this disc has like 3 movies spliced onto it. So you got Gamera vs. Jiger, Gamera vs. Zigra, then Gamera Super Monster. Here's the back. Here's the side. Disc. The inside. And then cover art spliced into 3 different pictures or pieces, I guess. And that actually looks pretty cool. So yeah, awesome. And just put all of these back inside of the box right here. And then let's take a look at this one. Okay, for some reason I accidentally paused the video and then I thought it was still recording, so I was just blabbering to like nothing for like a few minutes, so I have to restart. But anyways, moving on to Gamera the Heisei era. Let's take out all these. Put that right there. Then let's start off. Let me just fix this real quick. Here we are. So, Gamera Guardian of the Universe. And this was the first Gamera movie I ever saw. And it was pretty cool. I have nothing else to say. Like, I'm not going to give this movie, like, any crap either, because this movie's actually pretty good. So, Gamera Guardian of the Universe. Here's the disc. And original poster. That's cool. You know what? For this being my first Gamera film, this movie is actually awesome. So, yeah, I would recommend that. And Gamera 2, Attack of Legion. Back. The inside. Here's the disc. And then, original poster. Gamera 2. That looks pretty cool too. So, put that back. And then finally, Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris. Back. Inside. Again. Disc. And then finally, original poster. I have yet to see this one. The only ones I've seen were like the first 2 Heisei movies and then the first 2 Showa movies. Or no, I've seen Gamera vs. Gauss as well. So yeah, I haven't seen all the Gamera movies yet. So it's nice that I have this set. So now I can finally watch all of them. Now, this movie has nothing to do with the Heisei Gamera films. So this one's pretty much just a standalone Gamera film. So Gamera the Brave. I haven't seen this one yet either, so yeah. Spine. Here's the back. Then the inside. Disc. And finally, original poster. But I've heard Gamera the Brave is a pretty good film, so one of these days I'll give it a watch. I have yet to see Gamera 3 yet, though, so I'll get to those eventually. Just put those back in here. And then, yeah, pretty cool box set. Now, let's move on to comparisons. Okay, so for comparisons, I have the Godzilla -1 box set that was, I don't know. How would I say it would be from? Well, I got it for Christmas, but that thing has like 4 discs of like the same movie, so yeah. And then finally, here's how it looks next to the Criterion box set, but it's a book. And this thing is massive. So yeah. Let me just pan out the camera just so it could see the sizing of everything. Okay, whatever, moving on. Alright, well, anyways, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. Overall, this Gamera box set with both of the eras is pretty cool. And I haven't seen all of them, but I'm looking forward to finishing the series, and I'll probably, like, have my own thoughts about it soon, so, yeah. I'm also thinking about getting the other Toho non-Godzilla movies on, like, DVD, so, yeah, but once I do, I'll show them here eventually. And I'm actually surprised I've never collected any Gamera vinyls, so maybe I'll start getting onto that now. But anyways, yeah. I'll upload another video sometime this week again. I still got quite a few more things that I want to show on here before I eventually run out of stuff to show, and then I just like stop uploading for like a year. So yeah, but anyways, Goodbye.